She was there for me. She allowed me to be weak, if that's the right term to use. But again, not belittling me to a point of you're weak, you're not dealing with the things that you're supposed to be dealing with and taking care of those things. But she allowed me to be vulnerable, and in my phase of being broken, she was able to put me together. That for me is my biggest superpower, having this woman that through the difficult times, she's there. Through the good times, she's there. And she's never broken me down, because there's a phenomena that we've seen. A lot of men are scared to, open up, because you open up and they'll tear you down.
To be used against you.
Yeah, it'll be used against you. And it's a blessing to have someone you can open up to, and they can help you navigate those difficulties that you're dealing with.
Maybe that was me actually letting go, where I'm like, I want to see God through you. Because I think we all speak about, the prayer warriors that have raised us, our mothers. And obviously that was installed in me, and I was just like my own prayer warrior. But now getting into marriage and having someone who's going to be the head of the house. And I would tell him that my faith cannot, your faith, my faith. I can't go above that, because you are the head of the house. Your relationship with God means everything to me. Because when you are single and you have a relationship with God, that's you, but that's a different relationship with God when we're in this union, which is marriage, because I need you to be closer to him, because you are the closest to him now than being in this covenant of marriage. So I think that was me actually being like, I'm gonna let go, but I need to see God in.
Yeah.
You are in for a treat.
Welcome to the Living in Fullness podcast with Naki.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of the Living in Fullness podcast with your hostess of the mostest, my beautiful wife, Naki Khomai Muteto, and of course, a handsome husband, Muteto. Today, we've got two special guests, and I'll let my wife do the honors in introducing them.
Yes, thank you, baby. Okay, hi everybody. And of course, we had a different host introducing you guys to Living in Fullness today. If you haven't been on our website, please do go to www.livinginfullnesshub.com. There you will get to know a little bit more about Living in Fullness, get to know our values, get to know who has been on our podcast, and also suggest somebody. You have the platform to suggest yourself or another person. And please do give us a story. Living in Fullness loves stories. So tell us why we should have you on here, and we'll definitely reach out to you. So I'm excited about our guest, as my husband has already said. So we've got a beautiful couple, a couple that makes you want to get married, okay? They make marriage look easy. They make this whole love thing look easy. They make all of us want to be in love. I've got with me Zikhona and Lindo Zindela. You know them as the Zindelas.
That is us.
Hey, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you for coming through and making time. We're really excited to have you here, and you certainly do look like the couple we see on Instagram.
Yeah, I know. Looking so fabulous, eh?
Oh, I know, right? So you know what? Before we get into the episode, we always love to lighten the mood, okay? So we always have some icebreakers.
Yeah.
So you're going to choose any three numbers between 1 and 8, and that will determine what we ask you.
Okay.
So any three numbers between 1 and 8.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Which ones are you going with?
We'll do 1.
6.
Well, 6.
1, 5, 6.
1, 5, 6.
1, 5, 6.
Let's go with our first one then, babe.
All right. First question. If your love story were a movie, what would the title be?
One and only.
One and only.
Yeah. Sounds like a romantic movie.
Thought about it now, but what if that's the question? Because she's the one for me. She's stolen my heart from the first day I met her, and yeah, she's the only one for me.
Beautiful.
One.
Beautiful. I definitely want to watch that movie.
Yeah, I would watch it too. All right, you said 5. What's a small or weird habit that your partner has that you've low-key grown to love? Who's going first?
Maybe you can answer that question. So the question is, what's
A habit.
a habit?
Yeah.
Or like a weird one, or it's just something you never used to like that you've grown to love? You've low-key grown to love, probably haven't told them.
It's the first time they're hearing about it. Maybe.
For me, geez, that's the one thing that I can't think of something, eh? On your side?
I can think of something, but I don't know if I love it.
What is it? What is it?
Your socks lying around.
Oh.
Make them accepted.
Accepted it. Tolerated.
I've accepted. It does not make me angry anymore. Yeah, no, it doesn't. Oh, this man. No, I pick them up with joy, guys. Yeah. Put them away.
You've gotten to that point. I was telling him as well. I was like, I don't know if I love it now, but it's just I've grown to be okay with it.
Yes.
It shows I'm around.
Marking.
Marking my territory.
Okay.
Yes. Linda, do you have any?
It's the fact that when she combs her hair in the morning, she will leave evidence again that she was there. If it's my socks, it's her hair. That for me is, I think it's something I've grown to. Initially, it was a bit of an issue, but I've gotten used to it. I'll help pick it up, put it away. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, he used to tell me. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't know now the last time I left the brush lying around.
Yeah.
That's called picking your battles. Okay, and the last one is the sixth.
The sixth one. Okay. Who has the most random items in their bag or car at any given time? And what's the wildest item you've ever found?
It's probably going to be me.
Yeah.
That probably has to be me because I do school drop-offs.
Okay.
In my car, you'll find my wife's shoes, you'll find my girl's shoes, you'll find cups,
Okay.
teaspoons. So crazy story, the teaspoons in the house will finish, and when we wash the car, you'll find all the teaspoons. Probably the teaspoons.
And I will complain guys, we don't have teaspoons.
And she's the one that will dish cereal for the girl and put it in cups. We're going to do the drop off in the morning. So yeah, it's probably me. It'll probably be me.
And she'd be the one saying, where are my teaspoons? Why did I just finish?
Exactly.
Let's just go check the car.
The weird one was actually just a week ago. There were cups in the car and we were driving to KZN. There was a rattling noise.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my, what is that?
Yeah.
We have to take it in. When we got there, I don't know what I was looking for. And under there were cups. I was like, oh my goodness. If a mechanic read, she's going to be like, ma'am, we fixed it.
That rattling noise.
It's gone. It's done.
Because we kept, what is that sound? It was the cups.
Fixing.
It was the cups. So yeah, we'll find random stuff in his car.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. If your kids, actually, I've got a bonus question. If your kids were to describe your marriage in one sentence, what would they say?
They would say it is love personified. Well, they wouldn't say personified. They'd probably say mommy and daddy love each other very much.
Okay.
I think the way we express each other is, I think for me, the biggest thing is maybe for some people, it looks like, why are they showing so much affection in front of kids? It's,
Yeah.
You need to grow up, seeing what love is.
Yeah.
It shouldn't surprise you when, I always say to my sisters, it shouldn't surprise you when a boy says he loves you. You need to hear it from home.
Yeah.
I tell my sisters I love them.
Yeah.
I tell my kids I love them. I tell my wife as well.
Yeah.
I love her. Expression for me is a big thing. I think they will grow up knowing that, love was expressed in the household.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Vocally, physically, I'll give them a hug when I get home. I'll give them a kiss. We love expressing love.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
But I love it. And I think coming from a man, it even makes it a bit better, right? Because I think with women, we're very easy with being affectionate and expressing love and showing love. But I think as a man, our society has sort of tamed men to show up a certain way. You don't express love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, strong. And
That's
the
true.
strength is almost like you don't show love,
Yeah.
So I think I love it that you've shown your kids love even from a man's perspective. Because it's always easy from a
So true.
side.
Yeah.
I think they would also say it's fun. Like, our love has been so fun. Like what they see in us. Like when my husband comes home, we have this thing. I don't know whether I call it a tradition or whatever. Because I always come home first. So if I do pick them up or whatever. So when daddy comes back home, we always rush who's gonna hug daddy first.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Don't play with them, guys.
Mommy first.
So they're like, oh, mommy, you will last for today. So I'm just like, I am pushing you guys.
There's no kid now.
No, there's no child here.
Equal sense.
Yeah, I think it would be fun because even when daddy carries them, like they will always be like, daddy, please carry mommy, please carry mommy. And I'm always like, no, daddy must not carry me, daddy must not carry me. And they love that. So I think they'll say it's fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
That's
I love
beautiful.
it, guys. And I mean, just getting into the conversation, I think we're done with the icebreakers.
Yeah.
We've lightened up the mood. For people that don't know you guys, okay, who the Zindelas are, what you guys do, what you're all about, how long you've been married. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. How long you've been married, who you are, for people that actually don't know you.
So my timelines are not the greatest, but I'm going to go on I guess, and say we've married for 3 years now, my lovely.
Yes.
Yeah, 3 years. Okay. So we got married in 2022, but prior to that, we've been together since 2017.
Okay.
I moved to Joburg. I'm from KZN. My wife is from the Eastern Cape, Mthatha. And when I moved to Joburg, started working, I came across the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
Okay.
I was on my way to work in a Rea Vaya bus, crazy story. And I laid eyes on her. I'm like, my goodness, she is beautiful. Took me a couple of days to, muster up the courage to say hi. But eventually, one fateful day, we got off the bus and I stopped her and I said hi. I don't remember where I got the words to piece together.
But you found them.
But I found them. And yeah, that's 2017. I remember it was around this period when things really started to get more serious.
Yeah.
Before the Easter holidays. So the Easter holidays are a big thing for us around this period. It started to get serious and we started dating, crazy story. We had kids very early in our relationship, but we'll get into that. But we've been in love ever since. I think one of the things that, the Zindelas have been synonymous with is giving marriage, positive PR. There's a lot of negativity. There's enough negativity to go around. You switch on the radio, you hear about every gruesome thing that is happening in the world, but there's not enough positive PR in terms of relationships and love.
Yeah.
So that's who we are. I'm a big believer in shining the little light that in the little corner that you are in. Shine light in your corner, and enough people will see it, and it spreads.
Yeah.
Eventually, there'll be more light out there. So in a nutshell, I'd say that's who we are.
Yeah, we just two normal people who are in love.
Yeah.
I guess we once picked up our phone and started recording, and that's what people know, the Zindelas, but just living our life. That's what they see. Like, that is just that, I guess. Like,
I love
we just picked up the phone and started recording, just living life, basically. Yeah.
What actually inspired you guys to start recording?
So I started an Instagram page. Initially, what you see now on our Instagram is, if you scroll right to the bottom, you'll see a different picture. So it was mostly outfit of the day, get ready with me, just a men's page.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we were supposed to have gone on a date. We usually have like our date nights, but I was working. And I just couldn't finish. So I'm like, okay, you know what? We've got meat in the fridge.
Yeah.
Let me make something,
Yeah.
a nice meal for us to have. I took out these 2 T-bone steaks, seasoning them. I was making dinner and I had the camera recording because I was recording the process of me making the food.
Yeah.
And she came in front of the camera. She's like, Sana, look at my nails. I don't remember the exact. My nails. And she's like, we're supposed to have gone on a date, but here we are cooking. And when she said that, I'm like, my goodness, there's something here.
Mm-hmm.
So I took that snip, used that as a start, and that video of me cooking the food. And literally that video absolutely took off. It was the first time we went viral.
Yeah.
I'd say it was the first time we really went viral. And after that piece, I'm like, okay, let's do this we have to try and find a way to, bottle just that introduction.
Yeah.
And ever since it's been Sana. And we put it on a Sunday. I think Sundays are Sundays are for lovers. It makes sense to have that segment on a Sunday, and ever since we've been doing it religiously on a day-to-day. We shoot day-to-day content, but Sunday without fail, we deliver Sundays are for lovers content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that struck on that specific video that we just posted was also just the feedback from people, like, because obviously it would have seemed like I'm complaining on people, because it was just like, guys, my nails are ready for us to go on a date. But like all the comments are just like, you have everything, like home dates are so nice, and we're like, oh, people actually like this, because already there's this stereotype of, oh, a guy must take you out to show that they love you. They must take you to a fancy restaurant and all of that. So I think also just the comments that we got on that, like people were like, no, you've got everything. Like, well, you don't need to go on a date. Like, that's so perfect. And the food is even cooked by your man, girl. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. I did not think people would respond to that.
Positively as well, right?
Yeah.
Because I think society is, go out, dress up, go to a restaurant, take content, you know, in a restaurant.
1,000 roses, put money in it. Like that
that is what society has like terms to be romantic, to be, you know, out there, especially for content creation. So I love that you guys have created it and have found it in your own home, you know, which is quite interesting, because I think for us, when we initially used to think about date night, we always used to think about it as, what does it look like? Is date night having to go out? Is date night having to be home and watch something? So it's quite interesting, you know, just hearing that from you.
You know, you're touching on a point that is quite important, especially for people that are in a relationship. Sometimes you tend to lose your identity because you get so caught up in, especially with kids in the equation as well. You almost feel as if you don't have the time to date. In a marriage. And that's something we really, really prioritize. Look, at some point we did maybe get it wrong in our relationship, and it was something that we were quite intentional about working on. And I mean, that date nights, it doesn't necessarily mean exactly what you're saying. You don't have to go out and splurge and spend, you know, lots of money. Work with what you have. I promise you, we are so intentful in terms of having the date night. We will dress up for date night in our house. Light up candles, set the table, work with what you have. I promise you, it makes such a big difference. You see your partner in a different light. By just doing the simple things.
No, 100%. Because I think a lot of people get married, right? And they forgot why they got married in the first place, right? So now it's like, you're dating, your relationship, now your marriage should be all serious. You know, it's like, oh, what are we doing? Taking care of the kids, paying bills, adulting. And then over time, like you lose each other. So, how do you guys still stay connected, right? In spite of being mom and dad, in spite of, you know, having busy jobs and, you know, and life just life in, right? So, I mean, like you, it sounds like you're quite intentional in creating time, but, you know, people out there might just say, hey, listen, like life is just life in that just sounds like a lot of work. You know, so how do you, you know, like stay the course? What inspires you?
I would say, in as much as, you know, your day-to-day, anything is work. Anything, your day-to-day job. I work short-term insurance. She's in banking. And there's KPIs in the workplace. And I'm actually thinking of this now. In relationships as well, there's KPIs that I need to deliver to. I need to make sure that I'll never stop trying to impress my wife, because if I drop the ball, I'm sure someone out there is probably thinking, I can do a better job. I'll never stop trying to impress her. I'll never stop trying to cater to her. I always try and find ways to, you know, keep the fire burning. That for me is a massive, massive thing. Making sure that she's happy, making life easier for her. So that, you know, she's not burdened by, you know, the responsibilities or the chores of the household. You know, making sure that, you know, the house is clean. If it's something that I can do, I've got hands, I'll do it. I'll clean the house. It's not an issue for me. If it's, you know, helping with the cooking, I love cooking. I love being in the kitchen. It's almost become our thing. We get to spend a lot of time in the kitchen doing what we love. And I think when all is said and done, we spend time together as well as a couple. We'll sit and chat, motivate each other. chat a lot about the difficulties that we face in the workplace.
Okay.
Give each other, solutions as to how we can overcome those things as well. Linking it as well to our content creation.
Yeah.
It feels weird having to call ourselves content creators, but
You are.
but I think even with that, when we wrap up the day, we sit and we chat about ideas about where we can take this, content creation journey, and how we can maybe, turn things around to keep it interesting for people that are going to be observing or watching the content. So for me, it's just being intentional. My KPI is making sure that my wife is happy. Number 1 KPI. I don't play there.
I love it.
I love it. That's beautiful.
Love it.
That's beautiful.
I'm just listening. I'm like, babe, we need to go start drafting.
KPIs, Performance reviews as well.
Those should be held.
Let's see the bonus.
The bonus at the end of the year,
You need to score above exceptional.
Yeah, I hear there's no threes.
Must be exceptional all the time.
Must be exceptional.
So as you guys are speaking, right, it's making me think about, how when we're young and we're growing up, there's something that shapes our view of marriage, right? There's something that shapes what we want a husband to be, what we want a wife to be. What is it that shaped you guys' view of marriage, and what were some of your expectations of marriage? And do you think you have met them, or you've had to learn to meet those expectations?
I think that crossed my mind as you were speaking, asking the question about what do we think the girls would define our marriage as they're watching us. For instance, for me, I never had people to watch up to be like, okay, this is what marriage means. This is what I should be looking for, because I was raised by a single parent. So I didn't have that. And I don't even know, did I even have something in mind to say, this is what I want it to be?
Yeah.
I sometimes do sit and look back and be like, what did I even want? But I can never say I'm not grateful to God for what He has given me and where I'm at. And maybe it is also a good point that I never had an idea or an expectation, because I could have gotten to it and then no, this is not what I wanted. This is not what I imagined. Yeah. Right. But just allowing God being God. I promise I never even had a certain couple that I used to. Yes, there would be obviously elders in the church and all of that, but I don't think it was something where I would look and be like, oh,
I want to be there.
I want that. Right. Again, because I was raised by a single parent, and not that she used to sit there and be like, no, you're not going to get married. This is the way. But because of the way you're raised, right, and what you're exposed to, it shaped me to be like, whatever you want, you will do it yourself. Whatever you need, you will get it by yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I think with all fairness from her side, it was just like, I'm just preparing you for the world out there, right? To say, if you do get married, yes. If you don't, you can still be able to do whatever you want to do, right? I don't even think my family was expecting me to get married.
Really? Why do you think that was the case?
I don't know. I don't, hands up, it's not something I used to speak about it. Oh, if I get married, this or that. It was just if it does come, it does come. If not, and I'm happy that I'm honestly happy that I did not have an idea or I wanted to be like this, because then I wouldn't want to show loss of expectations. But I feel like it became everything that I needed, that I did not know that I needed to heal whatever that needed to be held within me from my upgrowing, right? So yeah, I think
Makes
for me,
sense.
yeah.
I think it's got its own advantages. I think like you're saying, right? Because it also made you not have expectations, because I think some of the things that mess up your, I want to say first year, but even your initial years of your marriage is because you have seen marriage to be a certain way and you've expected it to only be a certain way.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't look like that, then you're like, this is not happening. It's not working. There's something that's wrong here. I think we had sort of a similar thing.
All have an idea of what we want from our spouse, right? And then sometimes could be from movies we see, could be from the stuff we saw growing up in our homes. And then you sort of get into a home and you say, this is what a man should be, this is what a woman should be. So and then because we all have different upbringings and different, different foundations, then like there's a crossing of the wires. And then, so for us, it was just initially those unmet expectations and actually dealing with them and actually unlearning and relearning. I was actually watching a video today, right? So this guy was speaking about, initially when he got married, so his wife would always ask him, or he'd ask his wife, what is it that you love about me? And normally those are the expectations that we'd voice out, right? And he says, as they've gotten older and matured in their marriage, like when he just says, I love you just because you are you, right? And he said that becomes unconditional love. That's the same way God loves us, right? Regardless of who you are. He loves you just because you're you, right? And it's just such a pleasure, especially when you're in the presence of your spouse and just see my wife and I'm like, like I just feel that love, like I just see her and I'm just feeling like, I'm lucky, I'm I'm blessed, right? Just to have cause now, I was actually even speaking to another guy and was just sharing notes, and he's been married for 20 years. And he also just said, over the years, I've realized that, I wouldn't be where I am here if it wasn't for my wife. Right. That's the beauty of marriage, really. Yeah. And I guess it's just navigating those expectations. A lot of people come in and struggle with those initial expectations, but I love what you say. The only thing you should just focus on is your KPIs in loving your spouse. That's all you need to worry about. And everything else sorts itself out.
Yeah. I agree. Did you have expectations, Lindo?
I did. I did. I must be honest. So I grew up in a similar setup, to what I have now. My mom and dad, were married. They're married for over 20 years. And my mom was very hands-on. My dad as well, also quite hands-on. But I had expectations. And I think maybe what helped me was because if I didn't come to Joburg and stay with my uncle, perhaps maybe we wouldn't have gotten as far as we did, because my dad was very, in as much as he was present, he cooked from time to time, but he had his ways of doing things. And when you grow up, you find yourself gravitating towards what you are exposed to. And for me, I was exposed to, traditional stern Zulu man who did things, his way. And, my mom would find a way to make him see reason. And then we would see in time that, okay, he's probably changed his mind. But we would not know. He would not tell us directly to say, okay, I've changed my mind on that thing that we spoke about.
Yeah. And,
staying with my uncle, he was different. Whenever there was any conflict in the household, they would sit and they would resolve it. You would hear the reasoning behind it. He was hands-on in the house. He did a lot of things that maybe, traditional men would say, why is he doing that? On a weekend, if she was working, he would get up and he'd clean the house. And I'm like, okay, now I need to help him clean the house. Those kind of things, help maybe strip away some of the thoughts that I had in terms of what a man should be. And I was able to balance between, two sides, being a lion and being a lamb, being able to balance those two. So I think that for me helped. In as much as I had those expectations, I was able to, be mature enough to say, I can let go of this because it's not going to work for me.
Yeah.
Because what worked in terms of having my parents' relationship, go over 20 years is not going to be the exact same thing that's going to work in my marriage.
Yeah.
So I had to find a way to, in as much as I had those expectations, but I had to find a way to call it bend, to fit into our relationship. And that's one of the reasons why we've been able to get this far.
Yeah, so you had to create your own marriage.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. We had to create our own manual, because, taking something and applying it to your marriage, it's the quickest way to failure, because I'm married to somebody who, for instance, for one, she was very set in her ways in terms of, being able to do things by herself. It had to take time for her to, again, that's an expectation now. She had to take the time to learn to let go.
Yeah.
And allow me to step into a space and help her with certain things. So there's a lot of compromises that we've had to make, to get this far in our relationship. And I think it's not a compromise that is for the worst, but it's a compromise that is for the betterment of the relationship. I think, to sum it up, I'd say it's that I did have expectations, but, I think I was mature enough to know that it's not, my way, or the highway.
Yeah.
Yes. I had to be mature enough to know that she is there, for the betterment of my well-being and for our family's well-being. She's not there to, tear things down. Some of the ideas that I've had, maybe were not the greatest ideas. And looking back in hindsight, she would say to me, maybe Zindela, let's not do this.
Yeah.
Let's maybe look at doing it like this. And I look back and I'm like, oh, if I went down that road, I don't know what would have happened.
No, that's beautiful.
I couldn't help but hear you say, does she call you Zindela?
From when she wants something.
Wait, what do you want today? What do you want today? What's going on?
I love it. But I think you actually touched on something very important, right? And when you're speaking about how Zikhona wanted to have things done a certain way, and I think it speaks so much into you being raised by a single woman and you thinking that, I don't think it's a point of you don't need men, but getting to know to do things for yourself. How did you have to navigate that then in marriage? Because in marriage, it's as a wife, you basically have to let go and allow for leadership. How did you navigate it?
Yeah, it was difficult. I have to say we would have fights there and there and I think from my side, I wouldn't understand. And it's not necessarily I don't want help. It's when a situation comes or there's a problem, I'm like, let's action. Solution.
Yeah.
I don't have to phone you and tell you there's a problem now. I need to act now. I need to fix now, right? And obviously then you would be like, during the day this and happened, so I decided to do that and that and that. Okay. Like maybe you could have phoned. I'm like, when? The problem is solved now.
Yeah.
Right. I think, and there's a lot. I think something you mentioned, unlearning that had to take place to say, okay, I have to allow, right, him, because now it's not just me, it's our marriage.
Yeah.
We're in this together. Again, those are the things like maybe I was not exposed to say, okay, I saw mom and dad doing this together or whatever. I'm when you're raised and I'm the only child.
Yeah.
You're just a survival mode.
Yeah.
You just have to do things. You need to keep on going.
Yeah.
You don't have to consult anyone. You just need to keep moving. Yeah. Right. So I think there was a lot of unlearning and just allowing him to like, okay.
He's the man.
Yeah. He's the head of the house.
Yeah.
Let me give him that.
Yeah.
And how did that look like for you, Linda?
I think understanding her upbringing made it easier for me to understand who she is. Because if I didn't know her upbringing, it would have been difficult for me to be able to understand this is what we're dealing with. But because I understood, it's gonna take a bit of time and maybe also trust. You've just met someone and things are happening very quickly. There's no trust, takes time to build. And it took time for me to get her to lower her guard. And when she had lowered her guard, we were able to, navigate through certain things, navigate through the difficulties of her being in another province at some point in Cape Town, and I was in Joburg, and still having, the trust to say, even though we are apart, you're separated by a 2-hour flight, but we will still trust each other to know that, we will always have each other's backs. And I think, it was difficult, but, we found a way around it. Finances were, also quite challenging because, her being so used to doing things, her way and on her own. I'd get to a point, we are here now. The money is used for this. And, okay.
Yeah.
She's decided. It took time for us to, find common ground in that. And our money habits as well were completely different. She was frugal with money. When she would make a decision on something, it would take time, but again, she wouldn't necessarily consult me to say we're doing this. And I was the opposite. I was very careless with money. Money would come and money would get spent. The money was there to be spent.
No, it's fine to opposite. You always find that.
Yeah, I always find two of us. It's funny enough because we've also been sort of doing money conversations in our church connect group, and you find more often than not, a husband and wife are very opposite.
Yeah, when it comes to how they deal with money.
How they deal with money. So,
and it's still a struggle.
Yeah.
I must be honest. It's still a struggle that we still working on a day to day to say, can we look at, I've got maybe an idea to do things like this, and she's got a different idea to do things, her way. It's difficult to find the common ground, and it's hard when you've got an idea and the person that you are, talking to doesn't see that idea. For you guys to find common ground, to still get past that, in as much as you don't get what you want in that particular point, you still have to find a way to move on from it. And not have your feelings be hurt because your idea was shot down. But think of the longer goal, think of the longer plan. Yeah.
But I think, was it difficult for you guys to have money conversations, or was it just a specific season that you guys were going through?
It was difficult to have the conversation about money because we have a different relationship with money. So, yes.
Makes it tricky.
Yeah, because we've got money, it needs to be spent. Yeah. Right? And then when the money round off, I'm the questioner. Like, what did you do with them? Where is the money? What happened to the money? Yeah. Because let's plan what's going to happen. This is what we're going to cover. This is what we're going to do. I think it was difficult in that way because our relationship with money was different. Now we have to meet that common ground. Like, as he's saying, if he wants something, I'm like, but we can't buy a house now because of this and that. Those are the conversation we have as well. I think people look at us and like, oh, they're so no, we will sit down and be like, but we can't do that now. As much as he'll see that maybe in the long run, or I will see that in the long run, like, actually, if we have gone that way, it was going to be a horrible decision.
I think it was extremely difficult, especially in the teething, parts of our relationship. We were pretty much both interns, when we started, dating. And interns on opposite ends of the spectrum. She was earning we can say the number now because that's many years ago.
Well, at least now we can start gauging. Okay, 5%.
So she was earning below 20K, and I was on half of that at the time. So it was extremely difficult to first off deal with the challenge of my wife my girlfriend earns more than I did. I remember when I first saw her payslip, I'm like, yo.
We're like, wow.
It was difficult, and I found myself making incorrect decisions because I was trying to keep up with where she was. I got myself in debt that I was not supposed to because I thought that these things that I'm doing are impressing her. She's in Cape Town, I'm in Joburg, I need to fly to Cape Town. When I get to Cape Town, I'm sure that I'm here. Which was, when we look back in hindsight, it took us some time to fix, getting in debt when we were not supposed to get in debt. It was difficult. But I think when we got closer to the time we were getting married, the fact that we had gone through all those difficult periods, planning a marriage, saying this is how much money we have to work with, nothing more, nothing less. It made things so much easier.
It's a difficult one, when the man feels he's earning less and the woman isn't. I think it speaks into gender roles as well. That expectation that society has in terms of what a man should be and what it actually looks like to be a provider as a man.
100%. I think just touching on gender roles, I think you've touched on it a little bit. And I think, Lindo, maybe from your perspective, some of the things you've touched on, most guys out there would be like, man, as a guy, me cooking, nah.
That's not my job.
Like, that's not my job, right? But for you guys as a couple, how did you define your gender roles? How did you you did touch on just saying seeing your uncle and the way he showed up in the house. How did you have that conversation to define your gender roles and just get comfortable showing up? And how do you show up for each other? And what advice would you give to couples out there who maybe, gender roles were defined by what they saw growing up, right? But maybe clearly it's just not working out because we now live in a different society, right? Yeah. So previously, men would go work and maybe women would stay at home. And when coming back to those expectations, right? And now if you both working, then you expect your wife to do all the chores, do all the cooking. A lot of women feel frustrated now, in that they have to be the superwoman at work and still be the superwoman at home. How did you navigate, defining gender roles such that you complement each other?
I think I'll start off with the things in the household.
Yeah.
For me, being hands-on is not an issue. If it's, helping with the kids, I'll wash the kids, get them ready. What generally would happen is I would put them in the water, wash them, and she would get them dressed. So we are helping each other in that task. If we are cooking, again, that's something that might seem taboo to other men, but cooking is a big thing for us. We spend a lot of time in the kitchen. It doesn't feel as if it's a punishment for me to be in the kitchen. I'll maybe make some steaks or make something for dinner and she will maybe wash the dishes. Or the other way around, if she's cooking, and making a mess, I will wash the dishes.
And making a mess.
So it's always finding a way to make life easier for each other. For the longest time, we had one car. Okay. And it was quite difficult. We would, she'd get the kids ready in the morning. We'd leave. She's at the crack of dawn, drop off the girls, and we would come back. She would have cooked, cleaned the house. Maybe if she was working off from home, in that particular, period. But it's always about finding a way to make life easier for each other. For me, that's the biggest thing. Put the gender biases aside to say it's a lady's job to do this. What if she's sick? What if she's not feeling well? What if she's tired?
Yeah.
Is she supposed to? I've received so many DMs saying I got out of the hospital, I'm still not well, but my husband still expects me to bring him food. Whereas it should be maybe the other way around. This person is not well.
Yeah.
Why is it that she must still be, responsible for making sure that there's food cooked? Look after her, cater to her. If, she'll get periods where she's tired of driving. That's something that we deal with in the household. She'll be like, I'm tired. I've been driving.
I get.
I've been driving so much. So I'll take them to work. I'll drop her off at work. Then I'll go drop off the kids. Then after work, I'll pick them up. So it's always finding a way to make life easier for each other. But something else that I really think is important as well. This is something that she said to me in our dating phase, just before we started the lobola process. She said to me that I need to see God through you. That should anything happen, now we've touched on maybe the stuff in the household, we've touched on finances, but the spiritual aspect, because we've built our relationship on the foundation of God. And she said to me, I need to see God through you. So she said, I need to have a stronger level of faith. And we've been faced with so many difficult things where you're like, when you're sitting alone, you're like, how are we going to get through this? But I sit and I think, I can't let these people behind me down. I can't let my wife down. I can't let my kids down. We have to find a way to, trust God in that process, having that faith to say, don't worry about it. God is going to get us through this. Having that higher level of faith. And I think more than anything, it took a while to get to a point where, we were able to establish a way to maneuver, in the relationship. And
You know, listening to Lindo now, I have a question that I wanted to ask him, but I'm thinking it's actually tailored for both of you now.
Yeah.
Because when I'm hearing you speak about how Zikhona was like, okay, I want to see God through you, right? It almost then sounds like she wants you to be their strength, right? Rightfully so. She wants to feel protected and secure, and so are the kids, right? But also, I remember you had a post. I want to read it.
Yeah.
That you said, my superpower is being married to my wife. Now, for me, that now also sounds like you have those moments where she is taking care of you. So I want to know what that looks like, because you are the strength, you are strong, like she feels secure in you, so do the kids, but also you have felt she is also nurturing you, and probably helping you. I know there's been seasons of loss as well, as like loss, depression and stuff like that. Maybe just take us through that and what that meant. What was going through your mind when you say that's your superpower?
There's nothing that's as big a blessing as having someone who you can be vulnerable to wholeheartedly, where you can, you know, through the lowest of lows. She's seen me at my worst. I think after we lost my mom, that was extremely difficult. You know, the kids would go to bed and I would go to the car, because we stayed in this little 2-bedroom apartment, and I would be a mess. I would cry uncontrollably. It was a difficult period, but she was my strength in my lowest times. She was there for me. She allowed me to be weak, if that's the right term to use. But again, not belittling me to a point of you're weak. You know, you're not dealing with the things that you're supposed to be dealing with and taking care of those things. But she allowed me to be vulnerable, and in my phase of being broken, she was able to put me together. And I would show up in the things that I needed to show up to, so much so that people didn't know at work, you know, what I'm dealing with. And it took time, but she was always there for me. That's the beauty of, you know, having someone who, you know, can steady you. She's been that, for me. She's been my pillar. She's been my support. She's been my motivator. When there's things that we win, and she's been the biggest cheerleader, because it's not always just about the lows, but, you know, having someone to say we are winning. She's there. She's the first person rooting me on, celebrating, you know, the small wins that we have. And that for me is my biggest superpower, having this woman that through the difficult times, she's there. Through the good times, she's there. And she's never broken me down, because there's a phenomena that we've seen. You know, a lot of men are scared to, you know, open up, because you open up and they'll tear you down.
To be used against you.
Yeah, it'll be used against you. And it's a blessing to have someone you can open up to, and they can help you navigate those difficulties that you're dealing with. And that's why I say for me, she's it's being married to her is my superpower. To sum it up in a nutshell, is that she's there, she's present. It's incredible. I'm married to an incredible woman. Yeah.
Ladies, the pressure gets worse. It's getting worse than the KPIs. See, what did that look like for you?
It's like now, as he's speaking about it, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh my goodness, having a husband who will speak about like that about me, and yet I knew nothing about marriage. Like I had no idea what I'm getting myself into. And when we're touching on to what I said to you years ago, maybe that was me actually letting go, where I'm like, I want to see God through you. Because I think we all speak about, the prayer warriors that have raised us, our mothers. And obviously that was installed in me, and I was just like my own prayer warrior. But now getting into marriage and having someone who's going to be the head of the house. And I would tell him that my faith cannot, your faith, my faith I can't go above that because you are the head of the house. Your relationship with God means everything to me, because when you are single and you have a relationship with God, that's you, but that's a different relationship with God when we're in this union, which is marriage, because I need you to be closer to him, because you are the closest to him now than being in this covenant of marriage. So I think that was me actually being like, I'm gonna let go, but I need to see God in.
Yeah. Because I mean, it makes sense, right? Because the Bible says, men, love your wives like Christ loves the church.
100%.
And what the church is flawed, right? But the church puts so much trust in Christ. And that makes it so easy for us to let go, right? Because the person we're letting go to allows us to, and we trust that he's got the best interests for us.
Yes.
You know, so I think that's what you basically alluded to.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I got a question. So, sure, everyone out there thinking, oh yeah, man, these guys, the marriage is so great, it's so amazing. But, you know, life has its ebbs and flows and has challenges. So what are some of the hardest challenges you've had to navigate together as a couple, and how did that impact you? And how did you overcome that?
Money, which we touched on, was a big one. Family was also a bit of a challenge, because there's an age-old saying that I wouldn't know how to term it in English, but basically it says ningavumeli umuntu wesithathu angene ngaphakathi kwenu, meaning don't let a third person infiltrate your relationship, if I loosely translated. And that was something that we had to find a way to deal with. So, you know, putting my relationship with my wife first over, you know, these people that I grew up with, was also, you know, quite challenging. Loss was, when I lost my mother, it felt as if my world was crumbling and falling apart. And, you know, she was there for me. But I think another one was, maybe it ties back to the money one, but time. I worked at some point at a gym, selling gym memberships. And because of the setup of a gym job, a gym salesman's responsibility is you leave bright and early, you know, you're trying to speak to prospects in the gym or try and get referrals, and you come back late. So I'd leave the house at 5 a.m. and I'd sometimes get back at like 8, 9 in the night. And we didn't have time with each other. And the fight would be, we don't have time. But I'm like, yes, we don't have time, but we have money. So what's the trade-off? How do we deal with not having time for each other? So much so that it became difficult for us to connect.
Yeah.
We were emotionally unavailable for each other. There was a void.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that by spending more time at work, and it just means I'm able to get more commission, means I'm able to bring home more money. But it frustrated me that she's not getting it. You can't have both, you know. You can't have it both ways. So that was one of the most challenging periods of our relationship, because we were just not connecting. Literally, we were not connecting. Anything we tried, I felt as if I can't make her happy. Like I'm working, the money situation is looking a bit better, but what good is it? We've got the money, but we just not connecting.
Yeah.
That was quite difficult for us until, you know, God blessed me with another job that allowed me to work, you know, more regular hours, Monday to Friday, compared to Monday to Monday at some point, and not taking any days off. And that period again was also difficult because I think she had gotten so used to not having me around. I come back to sleep and wake up in the morning and go to work. So she had to then get used to having me around so much that it was, maybe I do something, I'm like, okay, am I annoying her? So it was a difficult period, but you were able to navigate through it.
It was a real tough time.
How did you guys navigate it though? How did you deal with it? So maybe let's start with that.
It was really, really difficult. It was just like, it's like you're letting go now and letting this person in. Like, okay, let me let things, you will in control it, right? Like, you're the head of the house, and then like, but I'm just not getting what I want from this, right? Like it was really, really difficult. Like the connecting part, like it was difficult. And then at some point, then he's home, like, I'm so used to being myself. Like now you just always here, right? And again, I think it's unlearning and learning, because I feel like we had to like start all over.
Yeah, like a reset button.
We had to push reset and start all over and date again. Like, because I think most of the time, because I was with the kids like from Monday to Monday, right? And he's off working and all of that. Like, I was just like, oh, is this the life I wanted? I don't think so. I don't know. Not that I ever doubted you loving me or being in the relationship, but it was just like, surely this is not the destination. But more than anything, I prayed about it a lot. I prayed about it a lot, because, and I say, I got into it like, I don't know, but Lord, you've blessed me with this. But like, again, I am putting all my faith in you, like for this to be something that I'm going to enjoy and live my life to the fullest. Because now it just felt like I'm waking up, I'm taking care of the kids, I'm watching, but it felt like a cycle, like literally just like a day after another day. But like, I prayed a lot about it. I definitely prayed a lot about it.
I love it. And then I think it's very tricky. I'm looking at the time. I think it's very tricky as well, in the world we're living in, right? Because I always say to people that God knew I could have never been a husband. There's so much grace, you know, there's so much that men do carry, and it's very difficult to find that balance between, okay, I need to provide, I need to bring in money, but I also need to spend time with you, you know? And I realized that when starting a marriage, it's always difficult. I think even Teto also had the same issue where he's like, okay, remember, we need the money. We need to do this. We need to do that. And then also saying, I need to study. He was studying. I need to study. I need to go to work, and then I need to spend time with you. And it was very difficult as well for me. But I think the way God has created it, God has given men so much grace and so much strength. And I think the way you have managed to find a way to navigate it together and say, okay, how do we bring that balance, right? As much as we're not idolizing money, and also looking at it as, is it a seasonal thing, right? So if he's studying in a particular season, unfortunately for those few months of studying, I don't have him, right? But we don't want to make it a habit where it becomes thing. Yes. Now you're just busy, and sometimes you're not even busy. You go outside, you do other things. So it's different. But I think it's a difficult, delicate balance to find. I think it's very delicate one.
But what I love from what you just shared is everyone sees the glitz and glam on social media of your marriage, right? But you guys have worked on it, right? You've gone through challenges. I'm sure you still go through challenges, but you've learned to exercise that muscle of working on your marriage such that you can have fun still, right? So what would be like what should be your encouragement to couples out there who may be having financial difficulties? They're just not seeing, or they're just not connecting and not seeing each other. They can't see the light, and just thinking, is this what I signed up for? How is this ever going to end? What would you be your word of encouragement to couples out there?
For me, it's support each other. Number one, support each other, back each other. I've had some ideas that were not great, but my wife was brave enough to support me, and to a point where we're able to monetize some of those ideas. So support each other, and also spend the time to call it introspect, almost peel away at some of the things that are not working in the relationship. If it's not working, make a compromise to say, this is not working, I'm going to stop doing it, because it's causing our relationship hurdles that we should not be experiencing. So support, spending time conversating. What are you unhappy about? When we have an argument, the argument should not be, closed off by, okay, I'm sorry, I accept your apology, and it ends at that. Yes. Are you really apologetic, or you just apologizing because you want to, get past, move on, whatever the situation you're facing? But spending time, if something doesn't make you happy, don't keep quiet about it and carry on living because you'll go back and hold a grudge on that particular point to say, 10 years ago, you did this to me. And like, you didn't tell me. I've been doing this for 10 years, but you've never communicate. I think maybe also speaks to communication.
Yeah.
Communication is a big thing. We battled with it for the longest time because I didn't know how to express myself, in a manner that, she would be able to take in, because she was more of, we want to deal with it. Let's deal with it now. And I would need time to take it in, let it simmer. Then let's have a conversation. So
Yeah.
as I promise you, finding a way to communicate that works for the both of you is going to serve you really well. And those are some of the things: communication, supporting each other, backing each other. There's nobody that's as in my corner as my wife. And again, I say that to my wife as well, that I am in your corner. I am backing you to be great. Yeah.
Okay. I think with the communication, as he's saying now, I'm thinking we always say, let's communicate in your relationship. Even if it's advice from people that have been married, just make sure you guys communicate. There's a lot of ways of communicating. Like he's saying, there's a situation now, let's speak about it now. And I just need to process what just happened, right? And I think I would rush him too. But you need to speak. Why are you not telling me what's frustrating me? Right? So again, I think I'm thinking about it now. There's ways of communicating, and you can't just communicate for the sake of, let's just, and then apologize and move on. Yeah. But we need to communicate so that we can understand each other. I need to understand where you're coming from, and you need to understand where I'm coming from. I think we've learned that through the years, where I understand you. Yeah. The type of person you are and how you communicate, right? And how I communicate. So I think that has played a huge role in our marriage.
I love it. I think we resonate with it.
No, resonate with it.
Go on and on.
Don't forget to love each other.
Yeah.
Don't forget to love each other.
Yeah. That's very important. That's very important. But I think we've come to the end. I don't know if we have any final words on the table, because this has been an amazing episode.
That's been beautiful. No, thanks for coming through, guys.
Thank you very much for having us. May your platform continue to shed light on people's lives and change people's lives. It's a very important platform that you have, and hopefully it reaches more and more people. You are doing God's work.
Thank you so much. Amen.
Amen. No, thank you so much.
On that note, we have come to the end of our episode with our lovely guests. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Where do they find you, for those that don't have you on already?
For those that don't have us on Instagram, it's the Zindelas. On TikTok again, it's at the Zindelas. One word, nothing else, at the Zindelas. Find us there.
Love it. And the Zindelas and the Mutetas are out. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you.